My name is Milica Pešić. I am Executive Director of Media Diversity Institute. We wanted to invite you to Britain to meet your colleagues, your peers in the media here, and to be able to exchange with them your experience, their thoughts, your thoughts about what we in Media Diversity Institute call inclusive journalism, journalism which reflects social diversity which does exist in every society. It's very deeply defaulted in our psyches. My prejudices may be different from yours, but everyone has them. It's very difficult to get rid of them, but they can be managed. And in journalism, in good journalism, in a responsible journalism, if we don't go beyond the prejudice, we stay with stereotypes, we stay on the surface, and we produce bad babies. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you for your attention.
I was in Morocco a couple of weeks ago as part of the programme that MDI have been working in partnership with some of you here, because another part of the programme is working with civil society groups and how they interact with media, because it's all part of the whole picture. I'm a feminist, a political activist in terms of women's rights and human rights, but I'm also a journalist. I criticise the government, I criticise the BBC, I criticise Channel 4 and any employers who are not doing things. And I stopped and thought, actually we have made a lot of progress. There's still a lot of way to go, so please don't think we're saying we've solved everything. We certainly haven't.
When the conduct of the press was so bad, with regard to intruding into people's private lives, misrepresenting them in their reports, and defaming their characters sometimes, that the government had to decide, are we, the government, going to regulate the press, or are we going to allow the press one last chance to regulate itself? To its credit, the government of the day said it must be given one last chance to regulate itself. Because a free press is not a free press if it is regulated by government directly.
There are also no barriers to entry in the media in this country. So certainly the media is inclusive, but there are limits to that inclusivity. And those limits are not just the fault of the media, it is also to an extent the fault of the Arab and Muslim community in this country. In the Arab and Muslim community you have certain professions that your parents want you to enter, business, law, engineering, medicine, and really beyond that it's frowned upon to do anything else.
It's very important that media is seen to behave responsibly.
Realistically, how is the media going to represent all the voices that could be heard potentially on one subject? If you talk even about mainstream issues, about say tax or political parties, everyone has a different opinion, and you know, men have a different opinion from women maybe, northern communities, southern communities, people in cities, people from different ethnic backgrounds. But at the end of the day, newspapers and media have a very limited amount of space to do it. They've got 800 words, 600 words, or on TV, 1 minute, 2 minutes. In practice, there's no way to convey such a range of opinions, so papers have no choice but to take maybe one view from the left, one view from the right, or whatever. And you can't ask too much of them, I think.
Of course, what the newspapers do must be subject to the law of the land. But if the newspapers are day by day regulated for their conduct by government, then that is not consistent with democratic principles.
Farid, this is Channel 4, is this one?
Obviously today we're talking in particular about how we cover diversity. Britain is a liberal country, and many television journalists are themselves what you would call liberal left. This has resulted in the British media, particularly television, ignoring some very difficult problems in our society. But I believe that if you don't discuss what all the people in Britain are discussing, then that's what encourages racism. So, I want to show you a short clip.
Tonight, we're going to put political correctness to one side and look at some of the uncomfortable facts about immigration. I'm going to try to find out how people who arrive in this country as asylum seekers are able to get a council house, whilst UK-born citizens continue to sit on the waiting list. I'm going to try to find out the cost to the health service of dealing with the thousands of people who bring TB and HIV into this country. And I'm going to talk to a Somali immigrant who is unemployed, in common with 8 out of 10 of her fellow Somali immigrants. These are issues that many people feel they cannot talk about, and many politicians are simply too afraid to tackle.
You can't speak your mind without being accused of racism.
We're fearful of opening up this debate. My argument is the real problem occurs when you don't open up that debate.
Equally as uncomfortable for some people are the enormous advantages immigrants can bring.
They are actually benefiting the UK economy, and they're benefiting British business.
Our duty as journalists is to reveal the truth and then to encourage intelligent debate.
Minority here in Britain, and so how the newspaper represents Britain's minority community is very important to me. 17 years ago, things were very different. There were not many minority journalists. The newspaper, like much of the national newspaper industry, was very white.
I think you just stop here. Yeah, okay. C'est tout.
On descend?
Oui.
So, equality and diversity at the BBC. As I am sure the majority of you know, the BBC is the UK's preeminent public service broadcaster, funded by the universal licence fee, which is paid by everyone who owns a television set. Licence fee payers therefore feel a sense of ownership of the corporation and, not unreasonably, expect the BBC to represent, reflect, listen and respond to them. White communities get their information about ethnically diverse people from the media. If they are fed a diet of negative, stereotypical images, i.e. all black men are criminals and those that aren't are good at sport, all Muslim men are terrorists and oppress women, it influences their opinions and behaviours. The impact of this on the lives and self-esteem of black and minority ethnic people who are visibly different but who are UK citizens, not aliens from outer space, is hard to imagine. International research shows that those companies that are inclusive and truly reflective of their audiences, clients or customers perform better in the marketplace than those who are not.
Okay, I get some. All right. Folder things to in the bulletin. So we got. Activité flash.